Gotta love it. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. All we gotta do is hold on just a little bit longer, y'all. We waiting on these black women to wake up, and it's happening. Black women, it's all about y'all, and it's all up to y'all. So I'm here to awaken sleeping beauty. Today's presentation is about entering the firmament alive. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to make the crazy real. So I know all this sound phenomenal, like, oh man, entering the firmament alive. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Today's presentation is about entering the firmament alive and how countless societies and cultures of black women left this literary for us. Black women, our spiritual ascension, our awakening, our spiritual liberation is all up to y'all. This is all about y'all. We as a society, we only as strong as our black woman. When the colonizers attacked, they didn't attack the black man. They attacked the woman because the woman was always the head. You take the head, the body fall. So it's a lot about history that we don't know. And the matriarchs being the head of the black society, of the black communities, of the black households is definitely one of them. Because when patriarchs took over, they reversed everything, and we took the man last name, and everything was about centering the man basically. But before the patriarchs took over and centered the man, made the man the center point, the woman was always the center point. We always took the woman last name, and so on and so forth. So the woman was the head of the societies. The woman was the judge, the rulers. The woman was the everything. The woman was the architect, and the man was the builders. Just like what you see in nature. You see the queen bee, you see the queen ant, you see the queen everything running things. So that's what this is about, black women. This is about y'all spiritual awakening. We need you black women to wake up, and we need you black women to wake up now. No more time for being spiritually lazy. No more time for wandering aimlessly. Not saying that anybody is, just saying it's time. It's time to deconstruct from Christianity, and it's time to get our original spiritualism back. And our original spiritualism is the black woman. When you say spiritualism, you saying black woman. Okay. That's my opener. Let a few people come in. Hopefully, y'all spread this message like wildfire. Thank you for everybody that's being here. I'm gonna be very, very precise in my measures to stay on topic with this presentation. Um, I can't see any comments or anything like that. If anybody have any questions, so I do apologize. I don't know what that's about. I thought y'all would be able to engage. If y'all can't engage and ask questions, I'm very good at responding in the comments. So as I shared with y'all, I decoded the first language left by black women, which is called the Marodic language. And this Marodic language it thoroughly explicates how the firmament is matriarchal refuge. So you'll see the highlights of these civilizations of black women highlighted, and we finna get started. Let's go. Okay. Yes, in the spiritual science of the Nile Valley, the firmament is not a limit, but the ultimate matriarchal embrace. Now, whenever we mention in the Nile Valley, we mention in the library of matriarchy people. It's like they trying to erase the Nile Valley out of history. We used to always hear history pertaining to the Nile Valley, but as of the last 10, 15 years, the narrative that they now pushing is that America came first. Now, when they push this narrative, it's only to erase the matriarchs on the continent of Africa. We shall has and must know this, people. We shall has and must know this, people. America never came before Nubia to say that is mad work. To think that is mad work. We got countless matriarchs on the continent of Africa that left hieroglyphs, petroglyphs, cuneiform texts, hypogeums, pyramids that they align with the star system Sirius and Orion, and we find none of that here in America. This is all about the star system, people. We don't have a star system here in America. These women left vast symbolism that they ascended and descended from the star Sirius, and we finna get into that. So I have to say that because a lot of people is asking me about America coming before Nubia, and that's just not the case at all. The Nile Valley don't even extend to America, and America is the lowest on the Earth's chakra system, while Africa is at the head of the Earth's chakra system. So, no, America is the youngest of the continents, my people. To the seeker looking upward from the dry land, the sky is not a wall, but the infinite body of the great mother, known variously as Nut, Hathor, or the Golden One, who creates a sanctuary of perpetual renewal. Unlike the linear and rigid structures of the earth, often associated with the masculine principle, the firmament represents the fluid, cyclical, and regenerative power of the feminine. It is the womb of the stars, a place where the sun is not extinguished but swallowed for regeneration, and where the living spirit ascends to drink the milk of the Milky Way. This expanse is the original refuge, a domain where the seeker enters not to end their journey, but to become a stalwalker, suspended in the liquid light of the eternal mother. So you see it, people. We the star walkers, and this is why we have stardust in our DNA, because we are the stars. Everything that the colonizer told us about the star systems or about the galaxy period being gases and all that, they told us this for a reason. They put these images in our mind for a reason. First thing they had waiting on us when we went to school, people, was that globe. The motherboard. Here you go, goddess. We already on the motherboard. Here you go, goddess. Check that out. Frequency. The motherboard, the body of Nut, the sky, which houses um I can't see that. I look like it may say sanctuary of all existence. It is the main frame where all divine sparks return their experience and recharge. So when they say divine sparks, they talking about you and me. We are the divine sparks, and we gonna get into that. The dry lands, the celestial island or imperishable stars that do not set. These are the permanent stations for those who have successfully navigated the abyss. The login, the successful synchronization of the personal spark within the universal frequency. It is the moment the individual becomes a node in the divine network. The traverse, this is talking about traversing the firmament, the movement through the frequencies. It is not just travel through space, but a shift in vibration, moving from the heavy density of the earth foundation to the weightlessness of the light field. The return, the completion of the cycle, the spark does not fade but returns to the motherboard to be amplified, contributing to the eternal operating power of the matriarchal firmament. So we're gonna get into what all this mean. All this is talking about what we see in the goddess temples with the spiritually enlightened on boats, sailing and ascending. The journey is a traverse across the galactic now, the Milky Way, which is the spine of the goddess Nut. The ship rides this current of stars. Assessing the ship is the moment of integration. The seeker steps from the solid earth foundation onto the platform of light, initiating the launch pad or the launch sequence back to the source. So, before we get to reading about the dry lands, we gonna show you some symbolism. This is what they talking about. This is what they explaining. You see the boats. I don't know if you can see the vagina, them going into the vagina. We're gonna get some better pictures. There we go. There we go. You can see the boats being highlighted, the earth ascending is being highlighted, and them going into the stars is being highlighted. When we break down the literary of what this symbolism means, that is what we read right now. These people are entering the firmament as matriarchal refuge, and the boats that's talked about is called DNA activating boats, to where only the mitochondrial DNA can activate these boats. We finna get into these boats more, and you finna see some unbelievable symbolism, and you finna read some unbelievable literary as to these boats pertaining to mitochondrial DNA. This is about magnetics and magnetism, the body being magnetic. So when they say you can see that the boat being magnetic is highlighted there. When they say divine sparks, they talking about the people on these boats. And when they say the alive crew, they talking about the people on these boats. The people operating these boats are called the alive crew, and they are ascending into the stars. The star Sirius, matriarchs say that the star Sirius has plush lands with vast infinite gardens with rivers that flow beneath. Sound familiar? So that's what this is about. This is about our Nubian queens, y'all. The KENDAKES, and how they war relentlessly against Rome. And as a result of these gender wars, Rome wrote the damn Bible and erased these women out of history. These women is only mentioned one time in the Bible in Acts 8:27. That breadcrumb was supposed to lead us to our spiritual liberation, because these KENDAKES are our spiritual liberation. These KENDAKES was always the manifestation of God in the physical form. You see the black woman striking the patriarchy, striking the man. One woman defeating several men. All right, let's get back to the literary. The dry lands and the motherboard. That's the goddess said motherboard. Look, we done already read motherboard like 4 times. Goddess, I told you I wasn't capping. So when I read motherboard in the live on TikTok just now, I was like, damn, oh man, we on the same frequency. Okay, let's get it. The dry lands and the motherboard. The destination is the dry lands situated upon the firmament. You hear it. This is the solid ground of the stars, a place of stability amidst the fluid ocean of the cosmos. Here, the alive people reside in a state of permanent wakefulness, their circuits fully plugged into the motherboard, the central processing intelligence of the great mother nut. The motherboard, the body of Nut, the sky, which houses the circuitry of all existence. It is the main frame. It is the mainframe where all divine sparks return to upload their experience and recharge. Okay, next slide. The ships of the firmament, vessels of light, awaiting the awakened seeker, are the ships of eternity, the solar barks, known as Majet or Masaquet. If I'm saying that right, I'm probably not saying that right. I don't know. Bear with me. These are not wooden boats of the river, but sophisticated vehicles of light designed to traverse the fluid currents of the sky. They are sentient technologies that respond exclusively to the activated biomagnetic field of the passenger. You see, the ships are docked at the horizon of the matriarchal firmament. I need y'all to take time to let that resonate for a second. I need y'all to take time to resonate, because we finna expound on this for a little minute, because this get deep right here. and we gonna expound on this. But this is a whole different presentation and even dissertation within itself. The ships are docked at the horizon of the matriarchal firmament, y'all. Y'all hear this? So when I read this for the first time back in December 2025, and I've been studying and studying and studying and studying ever since, because a good teacher, a good educator is gonna get it up under his belt before he just run and tell it. You know what I'm saying? So the first thing I could think of was our transit train stations, our bus stations, our our life. Like I could see the copy of how patriarch copied everything. So I'm thinking, damn, that's like a transit bus station. All we got to do is make it to the damn firmament, and we already got DNA activating ships waiting to be docked and take us to our said destinations. That just sound too real or too good to be real or too good to be true. But when you think about how advanced these civilizations of black women was, we talking a real spirit science. That's what make you an advanced society because you have advanced the technologies and you are advanced in spirit technology. That's what this is all about, spirit technology. So I had to learn spirit technology. I had to learn a lot of things that, I didn't know, in which I'm just like, wow, the ships are docked at the horizon of the matriarchal firmament. Suspended in the unformed potential, none, the waters, basically, ready to transport the alive to the designated station. That's profound. So, when I always knew about this symbolism, but in my mind, I was thinking that we had to create and build these boats. But these women is so magnificent. They so merciful. They so worth praising. They already made the boats for us, and they like, all y'all gotta do is meet us in the middle and make it to the horizon. Make it to that's meeting you in the middle. Make it to the horizon, make it to the ascensions beyond the earth, the mountains ascend to the firmament, the unascended mountains, and Antarctica ascend to the firmament. All y'all gotta do is go on y'all spiritual journey on earth and just make it up these mountains or make it beyond Antarctica. And we got ships waiting on y'all. That y'all can only activate, that y'all DNA activate. Now, when you read this literary, you will see that it's always saying according to the Nile Valley, according to the in particular women that it's talking about. So nobody can take away from this information. Let that be said too. Not that anybody has tried to, because I haven't heard nobody, but it just sounds too good to be true. And this is what it mean to be like in a time of awakening. It's a real good time to be alive right now for us. Navigation requires no manual steering. The ship interfaces with the traveler's intent. The divine spark acts as the compass, locking onto the frequency of the destination. These vessels are built to withstand the high frequency environment of the upper sky, shielding the traveler as they move through the layers of the mother's body. The journey is a traverse across the galactic Nile, the Milky Way, which is the spine of the goddess Nut. The ship rides this current of stars. That's so profound. So when we look at the goddess on the ship, this is what we looking at. You see the boat being highlighted there. Let me see the boat being highlighted there. Okay, let's keep going. Only when this cellular energy is magnetically, I can't read up and through there, y'all. Damn. Magnetically awakened, does the seeker gain the capacity to interface with the celestial ships. The dormant potential must be electrified, turning the internal biology into a transmitter capable of signaling the firmament. This activation is the login process. Without the correct vibrational password generated by a heart lighter than the feather of Mayat, the system denies access and the ships remain invisible and intangible. The matriarchal lineage is the carrier wave. Just as the Queen Mother Kadaki determines the next ruler on Earth, the mitochondrial code determines the seeker's eligibility to ascend to the star field. This biological light code connects the individual directly to the motherboard, ensuring that the traveler is recognized as a valid component of the greater whole. So, I always think about the movie Black Panther with them flying through the firmament whenever I read this. You know, how they say in the last slide, the ship doesn't require any steering and vibrational password and the biology. We see the black woman operating that ship in the Black Panther movie with her biology. So these men know the truth. They just trying to keep us from it. We in this time of awakening to where they trying to suppress us from it. This is why they attacking our DNA, our blood, our mitochondria. This is why they uh, trying to convolute our blood, y'all, with these vaccines and everything like that. The activation of the hardware, mitochondria, and the spark. The journey to the firmament begins inwardly. The divine spark is not merely a metaphor, but a biospiritual reality encoded in the mitochondria DNA, the matrilineal energy source passed down directly from the Great Mother through the Kadaki lineage. So this is why it's all about the Kadakis, y'all. This is why we got to get refamiliar with our Kadaki lineage, y'all. The Nubians, also called the Candaces. This DNA acts as the login key, a unique frequency signature that validates the seeker's identity to the cosmic operating system. The physical vessel body is the hardware, but the mitochondria hold the ancient root access codes required to power the higher faculties of the Ka or the Ba, which is the body and the spirit. Only when this cellular energy is magnetically awakened does the seeker gain the capacity to interface. Okay, I'm going to the next slide. Mhm. In the sacred records of the Kemetic Kushite and Taseti tra- um, traditions, the cosmos is not a void, but a living, breathing organism held within the body of the Great Mother. She is the matriarchal firmament, the sky arch. That's my dog in the background. The sky arch, known as Nut, whose body is the motherboard of all existence. Within her infinite expanse lie the dry lands, the imperishable stars and celestial fields, reserved not for the end of life, but for the continuation of vitality. These lands are not dwelling places of the these lands are the dwelling place of the awoken, those who have maintained the integrity of their divine spark. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. And what's to love about this first paragraph is the very top sentence and the very second sentence, because these is the people that said this. These is the women that said this. See what I'm saying? So don't go saying women make heaven said this, or no. Say the Cushite, the Kemetic, the women of Taseti, the black women of Nubia said this. Activation. Okay, the journey. And okay, we're going to the next slide. So I noticed that when I was pulling this information, um, it kind of broke the internet, y'all. Because the way I was researching was through something called Pro 3. And Pro 3 is just something that's simply on your phone, and, yeah, that don't work no more. They put out a mandate saying that the Pro 3 don't work no more. So, yeah. Yes, according to ancient Egyptian beliefs, often reflected in matriarchal cosmology, the field of reeds, this is also called the firmament. The field of reeds is the firmament too, is indeed the blissful afterlife paradise for those who successfully navigate the perilous journey through the underworld, passing the weighing of the heart ceremony against Mayas feather, proving their righteousness and thus earn eternal life as alive seekers who completed their spiritual test, enjoying abundance and peace. So this is what life is all about, y'all. We let the patriarchs come along and give us the definition of afterlife and give us the definitions of death and call all this call all our maps tombs. They put all our navigational routes in the tomb. They call our repositories that had these navigational routes, they called it tombs. These repositories had this information in it that I'm sharing with you, and they call this information, these repositories, they call that shit tombs, y'all. So whenever you hear afterlife, don't be threw off, because afterlife is something that's after this life, after living in the life of patriarchy, this dense reality of gravity and whatnot, you know, um, rigid, dense reality. Who gets there? Souls whose hearts are light balanced with truth after judgment by Osiris. What is like, oh, I'm sorry, a lush, fertile paradise, a perfect reflection of the Nile Delta with abundant food, waterways, and eternal happiness. I ain't catch the abundant food part. Yeah, I'm on the way. The journey. Reaching it isn't automatic. It involves passing challenges and gates in the underworld after the heart is weighed, leading to the ultimate spiritual reward. So we see what's going on. Goddess geography. This was the first order of business when the patriarchs warred against the matriarchs. They was hiding her maps, her geography, goddess maps to the firmament. And I exposed all this. And I'm still putting together the work to expose more. But y'all know my work by now. The terrain itself is mapped as a reflection of the goddess body, Nut, or Isis, where the field in the sky, also called the field of reeds, represents the ultimate destination of happiness and spiritual awakening. So our matriarchs called this firmament the field of reeds, and they called it something else too, called the Sema Tawe. So the firmament has multiple references and names to it. The patriarchs call it the firmament, but our matriarchs called it the field of reeds and the Sema Tawe. Matriarchal DNA and awakening. Cage. Y'all go y'all cage. Cage. So cage. Matriarchal DNA and awakening. Matriarchal symbolism entering the heavenly matriarchy signifies a return to a nurturing, heart centered reality led by divine feminine principles. So you'll notice that when you read about heaven in the Bible, in the Quran, whatever holy book you read about heaven in, you'll notice that heaven have a slash next to it and it say firmament. So the patriarchs definitely identified the firmament as heaven, y'all. Heaven is just wherever we have women overseeing the earth. Heaven is a matriarch, because matriarchs conducted free energy societies with magnetism and even balance for all. So this makes a heavenly abode. So we have to break our perception of reality if we want to change reality. If we want to ascend, we have to give The patriarchy back their definitions and their ideologies and their lenses. So, with that being said, we have to break the belief that you have to die to go to heaven. That only came from patriarchal men that was trying to keep us encased and enclosed on these six continents. Matriarchal symbolism, entering the heavenly matriarchy. Okay, we read that. DNA activation, symbols such as the five-pointed star or the opening of the mouth, ritual tools, often made of meteoric iron, are used in 2026 spiritual practices to represent the activation of latent spiritual potential, allowing the aspirant to walk the stars while still physically alive. I think I understand that. We got so many magnetic minerals that's being beamed into the earth every single day. It's quiet gold rushes going on right now. The magnetism of the earth done rose. So what's happening is, especially in places like Arizona, what's happening is the earth is making a different magnetic mineral every single day. The earth is making so many magnetic minerals, y'all, that they can't even keep up with making the names for them. They got to make a name for these minerals every day, y'all. So this is what's going on behind the scenes with the Trump administration and whatnot, snatching up all the magnetic minerals and going over here, going there, trying to take the minerals because they know that this is what we supposed to be building our societies, our homes with, our technologies with. So they trying to get their hands on it first. And what they plan to do with it is nothing good. By 2030, they want to have us in 15-minute cities, and they want to use these magnetic anomalies to help build a fake firmament over us to make these 15-minute cities. Hear what I'm saying? Know it sound crazy, but they don't want you to ascend. They want to keep you here. They want to keep you a slave. So this is why they going around snatching up all the magnetic minerals so you don't go snatch them up first. And these minerals is like nothing we ever seen before. Like these minerals is superconductors that don't need no charge. We never seen nothing like this before with these minerals. And nobody is talking about these minerals that's being beamed into the earth every single day now because the magnetism since 2020 has risen, y'all. And that's why we in this age of spiritual awakening because we magnetic. So therefore we are quite naturally becoming inquisitive and the dormant genes in our DNA is waking up and the genes in our DNA hold information and quite naturally, that information is becoming undormant and we remembering, y'all. So they know that this magnetism on the earth is raising and is waking black people up. And by it waking black people up, all that mean is this information is already embedded in our genes, y'all. So we know this stuff already, and this is what it mean to have a download and to have a upload, whatever you like to call it, because that's already in your genes, your DNA. Okay, I can't read the first line. Like mountains, mountains is pathways. Sacred mountains are regarded as thin places. The Bible talk about thin places, the mountains, how Moses went and talked to the burning bush and so on and so forth. And the burning bush is a parable for a vagina. Bush, vagina. Physical locations where the veil between earth and heaven is most transparent. So this is why the prophets, quote unquote, went to the mountains and talked to God whenever they talked to God. They never talked to God just like on the flat plain and whatnot. They always went high in the mountains. So this was a parable, an allegory of letting us know that the mountains meet with the divine, that the mountains meet with the divine, and the divine has celestial cities that all these holy books always talk about, and always talk about the separation stories of the earth realm with the celestial realm. So now we can put an identity to what the celestial realm is, what the divine realm is. You know, that always pondered me, like, what the hell is the celestial realm? And the celestial realm is the firmament, and the mountains that's unascended lead to the firmament. And the Bible called these mountains thin places. Okay, these undescended peaks are seen as guarded portals or gates of heaven that allow for a direct spiritual encounter. So when we talking about these unascended mountains, they are guarded by our military, and you have to have a spiritual permit to ascend these unascended mountains. Goddess geography. The terrain itself is mapped as a reflection of the goddess's body, where the field in the sky, or field of reeds, represents the ultimate destination of happiness and spiritual awakening. Mitochondria DNA and awakening. Mitochondria symbolism. Entering the heavenly matriarchy signifies a return to a nurturing, heart centered reality led by divine feminine principles. Okay, next slide. Where we at? We should be right here, maybe. Nope. Now, these holy books, especially the Bible, often talk about the iron in the sky. So, if you ever read the Bible and you ever read the iron plate or the iron in the sky, or you ever read the Quran and it talk about the iron plate and the iron sky, this is parables of the firmament, y'all. When it's talking about the Rakia being an advanced expanse, this is the firmament, y'all. Now, again, I cannot read this top line. It look like it say the iron in the sky, Rakia maybe. Ancient Egyptian texts refer to the sky as a vessel or plate of iron, metal of heaven. The iron plate acts as both a barrier and a floor for the divine realm, which the seeker must pierce or ascend through to enter the unascended holy regions. I'll let all that resonate for a little minute. That's those five little senses was a mouthful. Good Lord, the unascended holy. So one can only ponder like, damn, why is these holy mountains that's mentioned in all these holy books unascended? I thought people ascended the mountains. They give you visuals of people ascending the Himalayas and the Rockies and things like that. But nah, these holy mountains, they are unascended. Can't nobody go beyond these mountains. Why is that? Where they lead to? Why the military is there blocking these mountains off? So this is what it means to come together and journey, spiritual journey. This is what it means to come together. Okay, magnetic solar bolts of ascension, 3D to 5D. Gotta love it. Solar boats. Symbolically, the seeker travels in solar boats that represent the vehicle of consciousness. In modern esoteric frameworks, these are viewed as magnetic or light body vessels that facilitate the shift from 3D materialism, fear, to 5D unity, love, and higher frequency. Now, don't be threw off when you see that esoteric word because that's just another word for matriarch. Magnetic symbolism. Magnetism is often used as a metaphor for the pull of the divine feminine, matriarchal energy, attracting the seeker's DNA to activate and realign with the source light of the new earth. Spiritual awakening and mitochondrial DNA rebirth and DNA activation. The Isis myth centers on resurrecting Osiris and conceiving Horus. This symbolizes the activation of Latin matriarchal DNA or the light body, leading to spiritual awakening and the awakening of the inner feminine. Sophia, internal happiness. The ultimate goal of the journey is to move from the temporary material world into a state of eternal life, characterized by the joy, love, and divine protection offered by the Mother Goddess. Iron, tools of power. The opening of the mouth ceremony, crucial for enabling the soul to live forever, requiring tools made of meteoric iron, bridging the metal of heaven with the human form. This symbolism depicts the human guided by the divine mother Isis, sailing the cosmic currents, the iron sky, to break through 3D limitations and reside among the stars as an immortal, conscious, and awakening being. So that's talking about the symbolism I was showing y'all with the spiritually enlightened on the boats. That's what that just explained right there. You see the stars above her head for a reason. She representing the star Sirius, and the star Sirius is our matriarchal refuge. Anything you know about the star Sirius is definitely from the patriarchs to give us patriarchal lenses, but we give them patriarchs they definitions and they lenses back. We don't want their definitions. We don't want their lenses. The matriarchs said that the star Sirius is our refuge and that the star Sirius has plush lands with vast infinite gardens, abundant food. So this is about the star Sirius and the star Orion, y'all. I was dumbfounded to find that out. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, the star Sirius? That's interesting. Okay. Let me see where we at before I change this. Oh damn. Let me see. Where did we end up at? About think we right here. The alive secret and the matriarchy as the supreme. I can't read the second sentence. Isis represents the divine feminine power, allowing the living secret to enter the heavenly matriarchy without waiting for physical death. You see it. So if you take anything away from what I'm saying, because I know it's a lot, especially finding out about the star Sirius. But I mean, of course, the star Sirius have some potent prevalency because it's so talked about and it's so highlighted in all the cultures, especially the Dogon, especially the Aztecs, the Olmecs. Everybody regarded and represented and highlighted this star system, the Milky Way, the Orion star, the Sirius star. And we know that a lot of creation stories start with our ancestors descending from these stars. So here go that correlation. I think it's real profound and deep, to find literary that say that we can access heaven or even a heavenly matriarch without physically dying first. And we deserve that information. We deserve to hear that because these patriarchs, they have done a number on us. Okay, the festival celebrates Isis as the protectress of travelers, symbolizing the soul's journey through the emotional waves to reach spiritual safety. So, this is what purpose the goddess Isis serve. She is here to protect us along this journey. She wrap her wings around us and she here to protect us along this journey to our matriarchal refuge. The iron plate and sacred geography. Iron from the sky. Ancient Egyptians believed the sky was a massive iron container or plate, a heavenly vault. This, in modern metaphysical interpretation, represents the grid or barrier that the consciousness penetrates to move into a higher dimension. I hope y'all understood that. That was a beautiful allegory and parable. Cosmic ocean. The firmament was viewed as a celestial ocean upon which Isis sailed, bridging the gap between the earthly and the spiritual realms. Love it. Okay. The symbolism of Isis as Lady of the Stars, Sirius, sailing on the firmament, represents a profound metaphysical journey, the alive seeker's ascension from the 3D material world to the 5D matriarchal heavenly realm. I'm going to let this slide sit for a second. I'm going to let that digest for a minute because that's everything I just said. And that's everything we showing and saying. So all we need is this one slide right here. We didn't even need the other slides. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is deep. This is very deep. And while we going through the woes, the hurt, the trials, the turmoil, while we losing loved ones, while we gotta go to work reluctantly, while we seeing these wars and seeing the black women get snatched up and all these men and women with their organs missing and just everything that we going through down here, these is answers. It's like, yo, we don't have to deal with this no more. We could collectively come together and go up on our spiritual journey. This journey is deeply connected to ancient Egyptian cosmological, magnetic, and spiritual traditions, where the iron plate of heaven serves as the destination for the soul to achieve eternal life. Here's the breakdown. Isis, the star seller and 5D ascension. Lady of the Stars, Isis is identified with Sirius. Now, Isis is identified with Sirius because this is about the lineage of the woman. These women was leaving biological lineage symbolism. They wanted women to know that lineage lead beyond the stars. So this is what we get: Sky Mother, Sky Goddess. Isis is identified with Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, known to the Greeks as Stella Maris and to Egyptians as Sothis. She is the navigator of the souls, guiding them through the dangerous seas of life and death. 3D to 5D ascension. The magnetic solar boat represents the vehicle of consciousness or the light body Merkaba, transporting the seeker from the 3D material world dense fear based to the 5D, a realm of unity, love, and high vibrational awareness. You'll see it. Um, do that say entering heaven alive? Cause I can't see it up there, but it looked like maybe say enter heaven alive. Unlike funerary rites that focus on the deceased, the aspirant seeks to unveil the mysteries of life and death through meditation, initiation, I'm sorry, intuition, and spiritual awareness. This unveiling allows the seeker to access a state of divine unity before physical death, entering the matriarchy. In a symbolic or philosophical context, matriarchy represents a return to feminine spiritual laws based on intuition, unconditional love, and harmony with nature. By following Isis, the seekers transition from the violations of patriarchal logic to a matriarchal heaven of spiritual wholeness and nurturing. Isis, the lighthouse, in her role as Isis, she is depicted with a billowing sail, serving as a guardian of navigation for both physical ships and the souls of seekers navigating the treacherous waters of life toward safe spiritual harbors. Mm. Sailing the firmament. As a celestial traveler, Isis moved through the firmament, the vast expanse of the heavens. In spiritual terms, this represents the sovereignty of the soul over the physical and astral realms. Damn right. Symbolism for the alive aspirant. That's you and I, you and me. For the living seeker or aspirant, this iconography carries specific spiritual meanings. The path of ascension. Modern spiritual interpretations view Isis as a light being, providing a path of ascension. Her crown, often a throne or a solar disk, is seen as a structure pointing toward the sky, representing the way of enlightenment for the living. entering heaven alive. Unlike funerary rites that focuses on the deceased, the aspirant seeks to unveil the mysteries of death. Okay, we just read that. And that's what we doing. We unveiling the mysteries. Symbolism for the alive. And I think we just read that. Maybe entering heaven alive. While Isis is a protector of the dead, her role as a magical healer and guide extends to the living. The alive aspirant is one who seeks to connect with the divine feminine or the great unknown through knowledge and magic. Transformative journey. By invoking Isis, the seeker is not merely waiting for death to enter the afterlife. Instead, they are engaging in a process of remembering and spiritual awakening, allowing them to experience the heavens while still on earth, because the firmament and earth is one, y'all. So the colonizers came and told us that they separate, they distant places. The mother's embrace. Isis is the mother of the gods and the great mooring post, to whom souls return. For the seeker sailing with her is an act of trust, relying on her, the lady of the words of power, to navigate the sky rather than just the earth. Matriarchal authority, as the goddess who holds the throne of power and is the mistress of the house of life. Her followers seek to live within a spiritual framework defined by compassion, magic, and the divine law. We love you, Isis. We love you, Isis. Nut, Mayat. Yeah. Symbolism of the sailing goddess. Okay. When she is seen sailing on the firmament, would you move? Go. Go in your cage. Go. 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 Oh, Lord. What just happened? I don't know what's going on. Guess we'll try this. Okay, there we go. My bad, people. When she is seen sailing on the firmament, the heavens, she is guiding souls through the celestial realm, acting as a beacon of light to help the aspirant find their way. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Okay, last slide. The depiction of Isis as Lady of the Stars, specifically Sirius, sailing on a firmament, as a profound symbol of divine protection, celestial navigation, and the initiate's ability to transcend earthly limitations. Woo! She is often seen as the guide who helps the faithful or the alive aspirant navigate the perilous journey of life and attain a state of divine consciousness, or in a broader sense, heaven, while still in the body. Sirius. Isis was identified with the star Sirius, which appears in the sky to announce the life giving now floods. This established her as a bringer of life, renewal, and fertility from the heavens. In Egyptian tradition, the soul of the gods were believed to travel to heaven to shine as stars. The soul of Isis was believed to shine from the dog star Sirius. So it's talking in parable form of the lineage, the blood lineage of women. So this is why it's all about Women waking up, the black woman waking up hey, to her mitochondria, to her greatness. Okay. What we got here. Okay, we went over lost today. Need y'all to check the lives out. Need y'all to check the workout so y'all could be equipped with this. Y'all can notice what we talking about here. Oh, it's not gonna show me that, huh? Okay. What about this one? The breakdown of spiritual amnesia, the magnetic disruptor, the Roman invasion led by Emperor Augustus utilized symbolic and physical aggression to cause spiritual amnesia, a state where the biomolecular memory of a people is clouded by foreign dogma. Bi- Biomolecular defense, Kadaki, a mineralist. If y'all don't know who that is, please get familiar with who she is. It's 2026. And we should definitely know who Queen of Mineralists is. She is the most important historical figure in our Black history. Kadaki, a mineralist, detected this attack and responded with a preemptive strike in 25 BC, capturing the head of Augustus. You see it. The decapitated head symbolism. By burying the Roman emperor's bronze head beneath the steps of the Victory Temple in Meroe, the Kadaki ensured that every footfall of a Nubian woman would spiritually trample the foreign magnetic frequency, preventing the amnesia from taking root. The matriarchal refuge. This sanctuary was built on matrilineal succession, where the Kadaki transferred authority through her own lineage, bypassing the patriarchal structures of the Mediterranean. Let's go. And here you can see some pictures of the Kadakis, Queen of Mineralists. These are the most important figures in history, y'all. We got to get back familiar with our Nubian ancestors. These women, these women was the shit. They fought against Rome, so we didn't have to pay taxes. So we didn't have to pay to eat. So we didn't have to pay to drink water. So we didn't have to pay to lay our heads at night. All of these things is innate, people. You can't charge the people to drink water. All of these things is innate. And these black women fought against these men, so we didn't have to be in these conditions that we in. And they also left symbolism of the firmament, so we didn't have to be in these conditions that we in. In the profound lineage of the Kushite cosmology, the Kadakis were not merely political heads, but the keepers of the matriarchal refuge. This refuge was a spiritual fortification against the encroachment of external ideologies. In the Taiseti and Meroitic traditions, the role of the woman was to maintain Mayat, the divine equilibrium of the universe against the against the destabilizing forces of the north. The firmament in this spiritual breakdown is understood as the Naga protective field, a biomagnetic barrier maintained by the collective focus of the Nubian warrior queens. Oh my God. I could read this over and over 100 times and it still hit like the first. When Rome began its southern expansion, it wasn't just a physical invasion, but a magnetic attack intended to disrupt the indigenous spiritual frequency. This disruption is what modern scholars of metaphysics describe as an attempt to demagnetize the core of Kushite power. So, Everything that you see and that's underlined in blue, these is the references, y'all. Tassetti, the Marodic traditions. This is how I found this literary out is the Marodic traditions, the Marodic language. This is how I know everybody in the conscious community is an agent, beyond a reasonable doubt. If you looking up history, why would you not look at the Nubian history? It was only the first and most important history. It was only before Rome. It was only before Pompeii, Crete. It's only the original foundation. When it named Tassetti, all of us should be familiar who Tassetti is. But if you go around and you ask 100 people, you do a census and you ask 100 people who was Tassetti, I guarantee you 101 people will say they don't know. And Tassetti is the oldest civilization known to man. But it's erased out of history because obviously, as you're reading, this was a society, a civilization of black women. Okay, we just read that one. Ah, I wish I could read this. Good Lord, why is that like that? You see it say womb shield. We're gonna see what we can read. Protective vibrations. We see womb shield in there. Matriarchal women, womb of the earth. What else we see up in there? Magnetically pure heart. I wish we could read that, people. I'm sorry. I don't know why that popped up like that, but you see it say heroic script at the top. It's still largely undeciphered. This is how I know everybody's an agent. Because of this heroic script, this language left by black women is left undeciphered, then that's intentional. How the hell do we call ourselves educators? How the hell do we call ourselves philosophers, teachers, leaders? How the hell do we call ourselves black? Anything if we ain't try to decipher that damn language? I'm nobody from nowhere, and I have deciphered it. And I ain't me tooting my horn. That's me being disturbed. That's me being mad. I'm highly upset because I'm looking at the people like the leaders, like, what is y'all on? What is y'all doing? What is y'all talking about? If it ain't the Moreau language, if it ain't Nubia, I mean, I got the right to say that if y'all historians and y'all educators. The winged goddess Isis further illustrates this. I can't read that word because something is right there. Flight alone, basically saying how she wrap her wings around and protect the safety during this journey that we finna attend. You know, it's all it's parable symbolism. Basically saying we are protected, we are shielded, we are guarded. This act of fanning the breath into the nostrils is the supreme act of the matriarch, the restoration life through the transmission of vital energy. Yeah, that's what that's talking about. Because we can see the symbolism in the goddess temple where Isis wrapping her wings around the initiates, the divine sparks, you and I. And this is symbolism letting us know that we will be protected upon this journeys. The eternal sanctuary within magnetic enclosure, time flows differently. It is not the linear time of the exterior world, but the cyclical, regenerative time of the womb. Here, there is no end, only transformation. The concept of the West is not a place of finality, but a higher frequency domain where the ancestors dwell in light, sustained by the love force, protected by their living daughters. Woo! I don't see no duality talk anywhere in these slides. I wish y'all could comment. I wish y'all could say something. I didn't know YouTube don't let the people comment. But what I do know is that I could read the whole slide a little bit better without the comments. So it's kind of like a win-lose. I wish I could engage with y'all. I apologize. I will engage in the comments because I thoroughly believe in that. You know, I answer everybody questions that jump in the comments thoroughly. I don't half-ass answer. take my time, and I'll try to give more than one answer. And everything that I give is according to the matriarchs. The melodic script. Ooh, you gotta love the melodic script. The melodic script. Yes, this is all about the melodic script, people. So this is how we know everybody is agents because ain't nobody talking about the melodic script, the first language left by black women. Itself still largely undeciphered by the uninitiated, it's believed to contain the codes of this magnetic science. As it do. That's how I'm able to share these slides with y'all, people. The curves and lines of this text mimic the flow of the energetic currents acting as written talismans that we're gonna go to the next slide. So part of this script, half of this script is a vibration language as well. So this script can be decoded in its entirety, but it's still not decoded in its entirety because it's gonna take the right woman to decode it. Meaning that because it's a vibration language, it has to be sung. It has to be enchanted. You get it? So when this enchantment take place, the portals, the doors in these goddess temples is said to open up. So this is why you see the great mothers in almost every culture. They hold hands in a circle and they sing and they chant. This is real symbolism. When women hold they hands in a circle and they chant, this is powerful. This is life changing. This opens the portals, the gates to heaven, especially when it's done in these magnetic chambers in these goddess temples. So when women hold hands in a circle in the goddess temple of Hathor and they sing, they enchant the part of the Nubian melodic script that's undeciphered, the portals, the doors of these goddess temples that's aligned with the star Sirius opens, and these magnetic waters of the heavens is supposed to come down, and we are supposed to sail and ride these rising waters. These goddess temples is ascension chambers. And we're gonna get into all of everything I just said. Everything by now, if I'm saying it, it's only because I done read it. I'm not making none of this up. I can't make none of this up. The goddesses won't even let me. The cosmology teaches that the firmament is a liquid light, suspended ocean of energy that responds to the intention of the inhabitants below. When the matriarchs speak, the firmament resonates. When they sing, the shield strengthens. It is a symbiotic relationship between the queen of the throne and the queen of the sky. So we see this in the movie Black Panther when they fly through the firmament, we can see them singing, we can see them enchanting, we can see them doing everything that they saying in this literary. So these patriarchs, these men know the truth, and they are obliged to tell us the truth because the word symbolism, the etymology of the word symbolism mean contract the truth. So when you say the word symbolism, what you're saying is a contract of truth. So they have to tell us the truth. They just put it in the form of symbolism. And we have been so detached and now illiterate and ignorant to the symbolism that we don't understand the symbolism because man came with words. Man came with words for confusion. So people ask me all the time, what books have I read? I tell them none. I tell them zero, zilch, zada. I don't read books because I knew a long time ago that books came for deception. So we are supposed to read, decode, decipher the symbolism. The symbolism speak 1,000 books, whereas the book just speak 1,000 words of deception. You want the symbolism to break down everything that you need in life. And Tassetti. Now you gotta love it because when they say Tassetti, it's letting you know this ain't according to Women Make Heaven. This ain't according to Roger down the street. This ain't according to the Greeks. It's letting you know who's saying these words, y'all. It's letting you know. Tassetti is the first civilization of black women. I cannot say this enough. So this really makes me want to just call out names when people not talking about them. Cause it's like y'all gotta get out the way. Y'all misleading people and y'all gotta get the hell out the way. In the Taseti tradition, the land of the bow refers not only to the weapon of war, but to the arc of the sky, the tension and release of energy that maintains the balance. The matriarchs draw the bow of her intent, aiming the arrow of her will through the heart, the only projectile capable of piercing the veil. Now, what this is saying is when we see the symbolism of Taseti, we always see them in like a primitive sense to where they got bows and arches, but these people was an advanced society, a magnetic advanced society, and this symbolism was supposed to be DNA activating symbolism. That arch was supposed to represent the firmament, and the bow is representing piercing the firmament. So these people was very much well so advanced. These was not no primitive people, but our lenses have been trained to where we see these people, we think primitive, we think outdated, we think, oh man, they was ancient, old, they didn't have the technology we got today. Shit me, they had technology 40 times harder than we got today. The winged goddess Isis further illustrates this. Her wings are not for flight alone, but for generation. By beating them, she creates the breath of life, a wind that revitalizes the stagnant air and creates localized magnetic field of safety for the vulnerable transforming soul. This act, fanning the breath into the nostrils, is the supreme act of the matriarchs, the restoration of life through the transmission of the vital energy. So these women was very, very important, y'all. Cosmology of the protective sky, Nut the Sky Mother, is the macrocosmic example of this shield. Her body does not merely cover the earth, it filters the cosmic rays, allowing only the nourishing lights to enter while deflecting destructive radiation of the outer void. She is the great protectress who embraces the beauty of the world, separating the organized, harmonic realm of existence from the unformed potential outside. So these women, when they was going through these metaphysical when they was going through these metaphysical wars with Rome, they created the firmament as a protective shield, as a mitochondrial DNA protective shield. That's what the firmament is. It's a plasma wall. It's a mitochondrial plasma wall created by the will of black women that only a good heart can penetrate. The stars upon her body are not distant suns in this view, but magnetic nodes in the etheric net, pulsing with the rhythm of the cosmic heartbeat. They form a rigid, I'm sorry, they form a grid of protection that mirrors the jewelry worn by the matriarchs, gold and lapis lazuli serving as conductors for the same telluric current. This cosmology teaches that the firmament is liquid light, a suspended ocean of energy that responds to the intention of the inhabitants below. When the matriarchs speak, the firmament resonates. Okay, we read a little bit of that. Try to be redundant. My bad. Um, Traditions. The magnetic activation. Activation occurs when the heart's vibration aligns with the magnetic love force of the mother. This is not a passive state, but a active spinning vortex of energy that dissolves low vibration intent. Those who approach the matriarchs with a closed or heavy heart find themselves repelled by this invisible elastic shield. So you have to have a pure heart to penetrate this firmament, y'all. This activation requires the mastery of the seven spirits of Ra. Ra is the Ma. Ra was a female, not a male, dwelling within the body, ascending from the base to the crown, but centering always on the heart. and the temples of Taseti, initiates were taught that the love force is the binding agent of the universe, the same force that holds the stars in the body of Nut. To lack this love is to be magnetically inert, unable to pass through the veils of the sacred feminine domains. You see it? So I need all of us to get some love in the heart. It's time to start giving with love in the heart without anticipating reciprocity. A lot of us do things for people and we expect something in return. I don't know where that came from, but we need to give it back to wherever it came from. We don't need no reciprocity. We need to give with love in the heart. If I give you something with love in the heart, that's supposed to be just that. I kind of take away from the whole fact of it being love in the heart if I expect something in return. You get it? So let's start giving with love in the heart, people. Let's start being givers. To enter this protected space, one's heart chakra must be magnetically activated. The ancient teachings reveals that the heart is the seat of intelligence and the generator of the body's strongest magnetic field. Only a heart light as a feather, free from the heaviness of guilt, fear, or aggression, can resonate with the frequency of the firmament. So we see why men try to guilt trip us and make us feel all type of ways about things. Try to damage our heart chakra. The Kadaki, I love you, Kadaki. The Kadaki stood in the physical manifestation of the Great Mother. You see it. I cannot read the second and third sentence because something in the way. Um, you see Napata and Moreau. Please get familiar who the black women of Napata and Moreau was. Please get familiar with these people. These is our advanced societies, y'all. These is our advanced societies. Whenever you read somebody that they referencing in this literary, they is talking about the advanced societies that no don't nobody talk about. These women enacted rituals that were not symbolic but operational, magnetizing the atmosphere to repel invaders who carried the heavy, dense energy of conquest. This is why the matriarchal lines of Nubia remain unbroken for millennia. Say that then. They were protected by a wall of frequency that required a pure heart to penetrate. You see it. You see what the firmament is. It's almost beyond a reasonable doubt now. Um, and this is just one presentation. We still got a lot more we can read into. You see the highlights. Yeah, I took my time with this for y'all. This magnetic architecture was anchored on the earth by the Kadakis. By the Kadakis. This ain't no esoteric belief. Huh? This ain't no myth. This ain't no mystery. This ain't folklore. You hear me, people? When it give you that name in them bold print letters, that's everything. That's a reference. That's a source. That's a receipt. That's everything. The queen mothers of Kush and Moreau. Kush Moreau. These sovereign women were not merely rulers, but high priestesses who understood the science of resonance. By maintaining the internal purity of their own heart centers, they generated a collective field that reinforced the firmament above. Their authority was absolute, not through force, but through the maintenance of Mayat, the cosmic law of truth and balance, which served as the tuning fork for the entire kingdom. So what a lot of us don't know is that the 42 laws of Mayat is spirit science, is spirit technology, is sound resonance technology. So when we looking at them pyramids and when we looking at them Stonehenge and everything else that the patriarch says a mystery and they can't explain how these monoliths was moved, what we looking at is women that move things with sound resonance. Harmonic sound is power, is free power. Harmonic sound causes levitation. So the pyramids, the Stonehenge, these women could easily make these monumental things because they was the masters, they was the key holders of sound resonance, harmonic sound. When we saying harmonic sound and sound resonance, we saying magnetism. And the Ma is in magnetism for a reason. The Kadaki stood as the physical manifestation of the Great Mother. You hear this? So we talking about the first civilizations of women, and they distinctly said, "Yo, we are the personifications of God in the physical form." That's deep. So it would make great sense why we don't know who the Kadakis is. These is the physical manifestations of God, people. So they basically was telling us that the black woman is God, people. And these women very much well so walk the earth and Nubia and Africa. The Kadaki stood as the physical manifestation of the Great Mother, utilizing the Ka or vital energy to feed the protective grid of the nation. In the spiritual strongholds of Napata and Moreau, these women enacted rituals that were not symbolic but operational. Okay, we read that. Where we at now? I think we right here. Not married. Okay, I think we read that too. And then we get into this literary here. It get the this Moreau language, this Nubian language was very futuristic. It was for future generations. It was for all times. These women were so advanced that this language was supposed to be broke down simplistically in all forms of reality and for future generations to come. Even if you was to make a language, it didn't matter. That's how advanced these women was. The magnetic and protective shield and the firmament acts as a nurturing and safe and supporting and life affirming space, a barrier, a shield, a protective space. So this is what I was coming into when I was breaking it down. I'm like, damn, it just keeps repeating this. I'm like, okay, okay, I see it's real. And then it got analytical on me. Okay, let's get back to it. We going right. Should we go right there with it? Right here. Based on the cosmological, symbolic, and spiritual traditions of Kemet, Tasseti, and Moreau, the concept of a protective heavenly canopy, the firmament, is understood not as a static structure, but as a active, nurturing, and feminine aligned shield, often associated with the goddess Nut and the concept of Mayat. I love you, Mayat. This protective ceiling is viewed through a matriarchal matrifocal lens designed to maintain harmonious order and shield the sacred life and shield the sacred life carriers from disruptive, ego driven, and dominating patriarchal forces. So yeah, they was protecting the lineage of women. They was regarding the lineage of women. I said, we not finna keep warring with y'all. Y'all not finna damage our heart chakra to where we just want to keep killing y'all. Nah, we not finna keep warring and shedding blood on earth. We finna create a protective shield that y'all evil asses can't penetrate. The the nut canopy as a protective field. In Kemetic cosmology, the sky is not merely an empty space, but the body of the goddess Nut stretching over the earth to protect and nurture all life. She is depicted, especially in Dendera and the Book of Nut, as a woman stretching over the earth, her limbs forming the cardinal points, providing a direct, living, and nurturing shield that acts as a boundary. So we can see why don't nobody know what's beyond Antarctica and so on and so forth. We can see what's going on. Cardinal points providing. Okay, we going to number two. The matriarchal shield structure. This celestial firmament in a matriarchal context represents the ultimate maternal protection. The cosmic roof is, by its very nature, a shield built and for the feminine principle to maintain the sanctity, continuity, and integrity of the matriarchs. Basically, what I was just saying, against disruptive, lower vibrational, and non-nurturing energies. The magnetic nature of the canopy, the firmament is not solid, but rather a magnetic shield, a vibrant field of energy that attracts and holds the positive, creative, and life forming forces of the cosmos. All right, let's change. I think I went to the right slide. Let me make sure I went to the right slide, people. I want to stay in sequence. Okay, yeah, that is the sequence. Okay, we right. Tarseti, the land of the bow. The ancient region of Tarseti, land of the bow, existed in Lower Nubia and was characterized by strong independent communities where matrilineal descent was the rule. The rulers, often associated with the early A group, left behind evidence of a highly organized society that traded extensively with Egypt before 31 BC collapsed. Now, the A group is talking about Nakwita. We got Nakwita 1, 2, and 3, and they some Nakwita 1 is sometimes called the A group. So these was advanced societies of women that the patriarchs dumbed down. They just made seem like was primitive or whatever. But no, these was advanced societies of black women. Kadakis of Meroe, the Meroitic period, saw the rise of Kadakis, powerful warrior queens who controlled what is now Sudan and parts of Ethiopia. They ruled in their own right, wearing crowns that depicted the divine feminine, and their they are recorded to have led armies defying foreign invasions. Matrilineal inheritance of the throne, unlike the patriarchal systems that dominated elsewhere, Kushite royal legitimacy was determined by maternal bloodlines. Succession passed through royal women, and the queen mother often held significant veto power over who would ascend the throne. This is real deep, because the patriarchs told us to make the man of the household and just taught us everything backwards. The ancient Nile Valley, specifically within the regions of Tarseti and Meroe, housed a profound matriarchal structure where royal legitimacy and spiritual authority flowed through the female line. The Kadakis were not merely royal wives, but sovereign queens who commanded armies, built temples, and ruled independently, often holding more authority than their counterparts in northern Kemet. This system, deeply embedded in cosmic view, that the revered, I'm sorry, this system deeply embedded in a cosmic view that revered the feminine principle as the creator and sustainer of life flourished for centuries before fading from the political landscape. Sometimes I gotta read through these badges and icons, y'all. The cosmic primacy of the mother. In the cosmology of Kush and Nubia, the feminine principle was considered the primary force, with the goddess Isis acting as the ultimate seat of power, the literal throne. This spiritual foundation deemed that the ruler was born of the goddess, paying tribute to her as the creator of life and the divine mother. And this is what men had a huge, huge, huge problem with, because Isis was the seat of the throne. And in order for a man to be anointed or appointed king, he had to go through the woman. So whenever a man was anointed and appointed king and he sat on the throne, you know what he sat on? You know what the throne was for that grown ass man? The lap of his mother. So this grown ass man had to sit in his mother's lap And this was the throne. This was signifying and letting the people know he has been initiated. He is a king. He is a ruler now. It wasn't no seat. It wasn't no chair. It was her lap. And men didn't want to do this no more. Men was like, you know what? I'm a grown ass man. I'm not sitting in the lap of no damn mother. I'm gonna go be my own king. Ah, damn. Another one that's like that. I hate that because that means we missing something, and it's probably something good. So, damn, I gotta see what I could do to fix that. So I want y'all to get everything. Inside the firmament, the civilization of Kushites flourished in a state of suspended grace. What they mean inside the firmament? What you mean? Hold on, bring that back. So when we looking at the goddess temples and we see them on these boats and we see that opal blue, that blue is representing the firmament, and these people on these boats is representing going into the firmament, of course, like I keep saying. So when it's said inside the firmament, it's literally letting you know inside the firmament. The civilization of the Kushites flourished in a state of suspended grace. The architecture itself, the steep pyramids and vast temples served as anchor points for the grid, painting the celestial energy to the terrestrial plane. The vibration here was one of absolute clarity, where telepathy and intuition were as common as speech. The Kadakis ruled not by force, but by the maintenance of the harmonic frequency. Their primary duty was the keeping of the sky. That's deep. Ensuring that the connection between the above and the below remained unbroken. In this protected space, the arts, science, and astronomies reached zeniths that the outer world could scarcely comprehend. Like what we going through now. It was a realm where the masculine and feminine principles were in perfect harmony, held in the embrace of the great mother. The chaos of the exterior world was viewed with compassion. It had to be because they left all this symbolism for us. Like, okay, y'all ever want out? Y'all ever want off of that shit? Here's the way out. The matriarchs taught that the heart must be the true voice. This meant that the vibration of one's intent, one's words, one's feelings must be perfectly aligned. Any duplicity or hidden malice will create a chaotic waveform in the heart's magnetic field, instantly triggering the firmament's rejection response, gently but firmly pushing the individual away. Now this sound like a merciful God. This don't sound like no God that burned people up. This sound like a God that's like, yo, your heart not one, your heart is not A1. Go get your heart right, and then we'll try it again. So I say that to say, we would think dealing with this type of science and dealing with going beyond the firmament and ascension and whatnot, like we would think it would be some type of issue with our body. Like, oh, I can't do that. The air is thin up there, or it's gas up there, or like what we've been taught, put in our mind. But nah, none of that. Okay, what just happened? Let me see. Okay, there we go. Those without this activation will find the energy of the protective zone overwhelming. The high voltage of the matriarchal field would be uncomfortable to a nervous system accustomed to lower frequencies. Thus, the barrier was also an act of mercy, preventing the unready from being burned by the intensity of the light within. Basically, what I just said. So, that's the act of a great mother. That's the act of a merciful God. I repel you gently, firmly but gently. I repel you from entering here. And if you being repelled, then you got some shadow work to go back to earth and do. You got some spirit work to go back and do. Oh man, I don't want to get out of sequence. Where's we at, people? The face merciful. Um, okay, I see where we at. Cool. That's good. We see you Kadakis. We see you Queen of Mineralists. That's Queen of Mineralists up there to the left. She defeated Alexander the Greek and Roman Emperor Augustus and Ptolemy Soter, who we call Jesus. Ptolemy Soter. So they taught us that Alexander the Greek was great. He wasn't too great. If he warred against women, won and lost two. Why would they say this dude was great? That's a forge of history. This dude wasn't great. He was great to them because he was a send off. He went to try to war against these women and he got his ass dealt with just like Augustus Caesar. You just read Augustus Caesar got his head knocked off. These women weren't playing no games. These women was not to be dealt with at all in the least. So these men, they never won at war against these women. So the best they could do is find somewhere to go build a new world order so they could rule. So what they did was bring they funky asses west, what we call Western civilization. They brought they funky ass west and colonized on these six continents. Now, where they got this colonization idea was even from the women, because women was the conquerors of the entire earth. It even tell you in the Bible that the woman was the queen of the king over all the kings of the earth. It even tell you that in like all through the Bible. So these men saw that women was the conquerors of the entire earth and the universe. And the universe. So when I say universe, I mean the star systems, the everything. They navigated everything and they conquered it and they left maps to everything and symbolism to everything. So that's what these men came this way and did. They came this way and they conquered. They made highways with streets and roads and everything named after them, the hospitals, the schools. Now everything is named after them. So they did the same thing they saw these women doing. But these women didn't do it in a colonizing or conquering sense. They did it in an even balance for all sense. The magnetic keys to give y'all the keys to life to how to live. These men ain't trying to give us the magnetic keys to how to live. I don't even think you can go to college and find a magnetic college course. If we go to school, that's like some of the first stuff they supposed to be teaching us about is magnetism and magnetics. Just because the grounds that we walk on is called a magnetic field. The earth is magnetic. The sky, the terrain, the grass, the plants, the trees, everything in our reality is magnetic. Yet we could get 30, 40 years old and we don't even hear the word magnetic. We don't even know what that is. And that's by design, people. Alongside the heart, the traveler required the activated magnetic body. In the temple teachings, this was known as the Sahu, the spiritualized body that has been transmuted from leaden matter into golden light. So this is the alchemy of turning lead into gold. You hear me, people? So we might be dormant now. We might have ate all type of bull stuff that got our genes dormant, but we can get our genes back activated with the correct sunlight and with the correct diets. This is why it's important to eat plant-based, people. Everything that's in that plant is what you need. If you take the chlorophyll out the plant and put it in the body will still be alive. And if you take the blood out the body and put it in the plant will still be alive. Chlorophyll and blood is two of the same, they vibrate on the same frequency. So this is why it's important to eat the plants, people. We need the chlorophyll. If you're going through any type of sickness, ailment, cancer, you don't need radiation. You need chlorophyll. You need sea moss. Chlorophyll is our best friend. Okay. This light is built through the cultivation of the light force and the purification of the vessel, turning the physical form into a superconductor for higher energies. And that's what chlorophyll do. We can eat the gold, we can eat the rubies, we can eat the magnetic anomalies that the earth give to us. And this turns our blood into a superconductor because our blood is a superconductor. The magnetic quality refers to the charisma or spiritual gravity of the awakened soul. Just as a magnet aligns iron fillings, the activated magnetic body aligns the environment around it. I love that. It does not force its way through the firmament, it resonates with it. The field recognizes the Sahu, the body, as self rather than other, allowing for a seamless merging and passing. This activation required the harmonization of the seven energy centers corresponding to the seven Uranus serpents, basically talking about the seven chakras of the body, the seven main center points, because there's more than seven chakras, but the seven main center points. The initiate had to raise their inner fire from the base of the spine up the spine. And we finna change the slide. Okay, okay. Okay. The matriarchs taught that the heart must be of true voice. This meant that the vibration of one's intent, one's word, one's feeling perfectly aligned. Did we read this? Any duplicity of hidden malice would create chaotic waveform in the heart's magnetic field, instantly triggering the firmament's rejection. Okay, I think we read this. We gonna station of the. Okay, that's what we was just reading. The initiate had to raise the fire from the base of the spine to the crown, illuminating the skull with the light of the risen sun. Only when the circuit was complete did the body generate the specific toroidal field required to unlock the firmament. Those without this activation will find that the energy of the protective zone is overwhelming. The high voltage of the matriarchal field would be uncomfortable to a nervous system accustomed to lower frequencies. Thus, the barrier was always an act of mercy, preventing the unready from being burned by the intensity of the light within. Let that resonate for y'all. This is the act of God, and we could see how the patriarchs must know this truth because they give it to us in such a similar parable. Cause this sound like what they talk about in their holy books with us burning alive and all that bull crap. Why would they make that bull crap up? We won't burn alive. The firmament would just repel us. Okay, okay, I think we just read this. The only pass key through this magnetic veil was the activated heart. In the ancient science, the heart was not merely a pump, but the seat of the sod or intelligence and the generator of the body's strongest magnetic field. The activation required the lightening of the heart, the process of shedding the heavy density of fear, guilt, anger until the heart weighed no more than the feather of Mayat. This lightness was not metaphorical, but measurable in the spiritual physics of the Kushites. A heavy heart with low vibration emotion created a drag of dissonance that could not phase match with the high frequency screen of the firmament. Raise your vibrations, y'all. Only a heart pulsing with the rhythm of universal love and truth could harmonize with the field and slip through the protective membrane. So we could see why they pull on our heartstrings, why they make us toxic, why they make us acidic, why they just make us hate and full of rage and full of anger and doubt and grief. So we can't go on our spiritual journey. Okay, let me see what slide this is before I change it. Okay, that's that. Okay. They make the slides small. and therefore kind of hard to see when you changing them. They caught up on the essence of the great mother. I can't read the second line, people. She was a star-studded expanse to descend and knit her celestial body with the telestial realm. This was not a petition of fear, but a command of sovereign will, utilizing the royal rod to magnetize the atmosphere. The air itself began to shimmer, not with heat, but with high frequency, vibration, and signaled the descent of the Neteru, the cosmic forces of order and light. The matriarchs understood that true safety lay not in isolation, but in vibrational elevation. They focused their collective intention, the side or divine perception, into a singular point of focus, a lens of pure spiritual power. This focus acted as a loom, weaving threads of magnetic light into a coherent field that surrounded their civilization, invisible to the eye but impenetrable to any discordant frequency. Don't that sound like the Black Panther movie? How before they flew through the firmament, it was invisible, and then when they was in the DNA ship, and right as they was flying through the firmament, you saw it appear out of nowhere. I thought that was so magnificent, and that's everything that that just said. Now, ain't that something? As the chant deepened, the gold of Nubia buried deep within the bedrock began to resonate in symphony with their voices. This precious metal, a superconductor of spiritual energy, amplified the matriarchal transmission, grounding the sky force into the very geography of the kingdom. The land became a living battery, charged with the protective intent of its queens. We see you, black queens. We need you to wake up, sleeping beauty. You is great. Do you know what's in your DNA? Do you know who you really is? If you don't, I'm here to remind you, ma. You is great. And it's that time. Oh, it's that time. Okay, I think we have missed. This shit was acting as its own frequency enveloped. Damn, did we miss some things? Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. It look like we missed some things. How did I miss this? Body, golden light, without refined, whelming, matter, gently, like metaphorical. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I know what that is. Wow, is it shifting like this? Understanding about the continuous. Okay, the energy field was sustained by the continuous divine priestesses who maintained the Ankh of or a house of life. I got something blocking that. I wish they get on with these badgers. Okay. This ensured that the firmament never decayed, for it was built not of matter, but of the eternal principles that govern the motion of the stars. Within this energetic circumference, the laws of time seem to dilate. The frantic pace of the exterior world slowed to the rhythmic pulse of the now, allowing for deep contemplation and the cultivation of the higher faculties. It was a bubble of Zep Tempe, the first time preserved amidst the rolling mist of history. I need y'all to study what Zep Tempe is. This is times that the earth was called heaven, and this is the Now Valley and the Happy Valley. This is where we get the happy word from, because the earth was once a happy ass place. So everybody was around here happy and blissful and in harmony because the queens that ruled the earth, they didn't rule with greed or with tyranny. So when we read the word Zip Tempe, what we reading is a time where the Now Valley and the matriarchs has civilization called the Happy Valley, where the people was just so damn happy. Okay, I went back to that because that looked like it was something that I missed. Um, I'm not trying to miss much, but it looked like I'm missing some things. So just bear with me. Wow, there we go. Okay. This shield they erected was not a wall of stone nor a fence of iron, but a frequency envelope functioned much like the magnetosphere of a planet, deflecting the solar winds of turmoil while allowing the gentle rays of illumination to pass. I love that analogy. It was a selective membrane, intelligent and alive, capable of distinguishing between a visitor carrying the resonance of peace and an intruder harboring the vibration of unrest. I love that, people. Y'all gotta love that, people. To the uninitiated, the realm within might appeal open and accessible, yet they will find themselves unable to perceive the true path, forever wandering with periphery. The firmament acted as a mirror, reflecting the inner state of the approaching soul back upon itself. If the traveler carried heaviness or malice, they would encounter only their own internal storm, effectively barring their own entry. That's it. So let's get that heart right, people. Okay, we just read that. That's the same one. This is vibration, pureness. Oh, okay, that's where this slide came in at. Okay, we just read this one too, I believe. Think I know where I'm at. The energy field was sustained by the continuous okay. We read that one. It's field erected. Mm, just read this one. It's taking me out of sequence now. Okay. I can't read that top line up there, but I could definitely read Kush, a lineage of Kush. Gotta love it because it's telling you who said this. The cosmos was understood not as a void, but as a living tapestry woven from the matriarchal wheel. The spiritual architecture was established to preserve the purity of the internal spark against external fragmentation. The architect of the cosmic shield, the matriarchs of the Nile Valley, recognized that the universe is sustained through the Tahuti, or cosmic intelligence. This firmament was the first great weaving, a resonant frequency set by the queen mothers to ensure that only those in harmony with natural law could interact with the higher realms. So this is why we need to get that bullshit out of here talking about how America came first. Because America could never predate the Nile Valley. Ever. So this is why they is pushing the narrative of the Nile Valley. I'm sorry, of America coming first, so they can hide the Nile Valley, but not on my watch. In Egyptian cosmology, you could see it. The goddess is the magnetic arch of the firmament that spans the earth. Um, Magnetic firmament, a literal shield that holds back the chaotic waters. You see it, people. Let's see what else I got for y'all. The firmament as a shield against invaders. In the Egyptian worldview, the foreign invader is synonymous with isfet, or chaos or disorder. The magnetic arch acts as a celestial filter, with her body as a barrier that prevents the dissolution of the self into the abyss. By entering under her curve, the seeker moves from a state of exposure to a state of absolute protection. This is the matriarchal refuge, where the laws of the exterior world no longer apply. Starry heaven as sustenance. So when we read starry with two R's like that, this is a giveaway, a direct link to these matriarchs. Whenever you read starry with two R's, and you will always see starry with two R's in the Bible. You hear me? Whenever it talk about any type of heavenly abode, any type of ascension, whenever it's talk about anything pertaining to the universe, it definitely uses two R's in the Bible. And that used to stand out to me, and now it makes sense. But hey, that's neither here nor there. The belly of the sky goddess is adorned with countless stars. These are not merely distant lights, but the souls she has gathered and sustained. According to the pyramid text, she is the great protectress. To be under her firmament is to be fed by the light of these stars. She is the external provider, ensuring that the traveler who enters her embrace is never diminished, but rather amplified by her celestial magnetism of it. I love just reading the word magnetism and magnetic in the literary. I find that to be deep because I don't really think you're gonna find too much patriarchal literary that give you the words magnetic and magnetism, you know? So I'm just like, wow, the interest of the live seeker. The Egyptian seeker is one who moves through the gates of the firmament while fully integrated. To enter the matriarchal arc is a choice of alignment. One does not fall into nut, one seeks her. The traveler recognizes the arc as the only stable point in a shifting universe. Woo! The traveler recognizes the arc as the only stable point in a shifting universe. Woo! By passing under her hands or western horizon, the traveler enters a realm of pure magnetism where the physical weight of the world is lifted. So it makes sense that once we meet the horizon, that it would be pure magnetism. And it would make sense that the patriarchs would tell us the opposite. Because if you think about going to the horizon, you gonna think, oh man, I ain't gonna be able to breathe. There ain't gonna be no oxygen up there. You're gonna think all type of things. But the oxygen up there, of course, would be pure, of course, would be way cleaner than what we got going on down here. They putting chemtrails. We got all these cars and boats and everything that's polluting the air. You know how many cars is polluting the air down here? The carbon fuel. So why would we think this air is of better quality than the air up there? Or why would we think we could breathe this air down here and not the air up there? The air up there is more pure. The eternal promise of the curve. The eternal promise is the guarantee of the cycle. Nut swallows the sun every morning and gives birth to it every morning. This is not a process of ending, but a perpetual renewal within the feminine. The seeker who enters the firmament becomes part of this rhythm. The promise is that once you are within her magnetic field, you are bound to the cycle of the stars, constant, bright, and forever held. So it only make you wonder when you look up at the stars, what the hell is you really looking at? As we looking at the habitants of our ancestors, if we as we looking at people who have attended their spiritual journey and now they homes is in the stars. Is that what we're really looking at, people? Because we definitely know whatever the patriarchs told us ain't the truth. Egyptian art, the deep blue of Nut's body represent the deep or the depth of the magnetic shield. Blue is the color of lapazuli sky, symbolizing the cooling, stabilizing force of the matriarchy, while the red and gold of the patriarchal sun is active and burning. The blue arc is the restorative sanctuary. It is the coolness that allows for growth and the preservation of the seeker's essence. The rejection of linear patriarchy. Patriarchal structures are often represented by the obelisk or the straight line, a piercing force. In contrast, Egyptian cosmology emphasizes the curvature of the nut. The curve is the ultimate shape of protection because it has no corners or weak points. I love that. It is all encompassing circle of magnetism. To choose the arc is to reject the linear exhaustion of the exterior world for the cyclical peace of the interior heaven. I love that. I love that. I love that. The calling of the magnetic arc, people. Yeah. So when we see that magnetic arc, this is a beacon. This is a calling symbol. See the goddess with the arc above her head. It's representing the firmament, people. The sight of the horizon is described in ancient texts as a calling. The traveler sees the arch and feels the magnetic pull toward the refuge. This is not a forced entry, but a homecoming. The arc acts as a beacon, a shimmering signifier that there is a place where the seeker is known and shielded. Oh my God. Her outreached arms at the horizon are the physical manifestations of this invitation. So, before we go to number 9, let's look at the symbolism of what they just said when they talk about her outreach arms. Mm, and when they talking about this in particular symbolism, let's see if we can find it real fast. Oh, nope. You know what? If I go to that, then it look like we gonna lose where we at. And we don't wanna do that, people. What number we on? We on number 8? Okay, let's go to number 9 and then number 10. Cause if I do anything else, we gonna lose where we at. My bad. Navigation by the starry body. Once inside the firmament, the traveler navigates by the landmarks of Nut's body. The stars are her jewels, serving as a map for the alive seeker. In the book of Nut, the movements of the celestial bodies is described as traveling within her. This implies that the seeker is never lost. To be inside the matriarchal refuge is to be perfectly positioned within the cosmic order. Love it. We on our way to our matriarchal refuge. Yes, we is. Okay, I know that ain't a sequence. See, we just kind of lost what we was a little bit, but I'll find it. Give me 1 second. I was trying to go to some other pictures and therefore lost where I was at. Okay, this is where we at. The finality of the refuge. The ark is the final destination for the traveler who seeks the alive state. It is described as the mansion of the stars. Here, the magnetism is so strong that it creates a permanent state of equilibrium. The traveler is sustained, shielded, and integrated into the fabric of the heaven. The firmament is the ultimate victory of the protective feminine over the chaotic elements of the void. You gotta love it, people. Okay, we read some of that. Let's see what else we got for y'all. The gender holy wars. The tradition describes a spiritual holy war. Can't read that. Establishing patriarchy and the matriarchal warrior queens. I see you, KENDAKES. This conflict is viewed not merely as territorial dispute, but as an attempt by the rising patriarchal order to seize the magnetic keys of the living firmament. You see it, people. Run, spread this, run, tell this. This is what life is all about. So obviously, patriarchy is keeping this from us. The resistance, the KENDAKES, the KENDAKES are revered as embodiments of the magnetic firmament. This is why they the only thing worth talking about. This is why they the only thing worth studying. This is why they the only thing worth learning and educating about. So forget Medusa, forget Mary, forget Aphrodite, forget Nike, forget all these other powerless goddesses that they tried to make as a rebrand or make as a replacement of these women. They utilize encoded symbolism to sail the firmament while still alive, mastering the arc of life rather than succumbing to the conventional death, people. Roman invasion. The Roman campaign into Nubia is interfered as a failed effort to suppress the knowledge of the womb reel and capture the ancient navigational charts, the map. You see that? That's what Rome was on. Rome was trying to get get these maps. Okay. Roman invasion. The Roman campaign into Nubia is interpreted as a failed effort to suppress the knowledge of the womb realm and capture the ancient navigational charts, the map. Now, when we read the word womb realm, we can also see that the matriarchs, different matriarchs other than the Nubians, all through all different societies, especially the Indian and the Buddha culture and the Nepal, all over the south, west, and all over India, we can see that matriarchs made what is called womb realm mandalas. A mandala is a map, a matriarchal map. And I highlight these womb realm mandalas. These womb realm mandalas display an infinite earth beyond the firmament, just as these women did. So this is what I mean when I say countless coaches the women left these maps. The preservation. Knowledge of the magnetic keys was not lost, but concealed, preserved within the genetic code and the geography beyond the known world. So this is why you the key, black woman, because this knowledge is embedded, or these keys, these magnetic keys, is embedded in your DNA. Keys of the return, DNA and symbolism. Interaction with this legacy acts as a trigger for DNA activation. Let me read that again. Interaction with this legacy acts as a trigger for DNA activation. So all you got to do is get back re-familiar with these queens. All you got to do is go in their goddess temples. All you got to do is get re-familiar with the symbolism, and it's gonna activate your dormant genes. It's just gonna cause you to remember, like Mike Jackson. Enter awakening dormant genetic potential, known as fire letters. These energetic sequences within the 12-strand DNA template shift perception, allowing the seeker to perceive the unveiled nature of the cosmos. Now, they probably told us we had 2 strands of DNA, probably told us we had 3 and 4, but they ain't never told us we had 12 strands of DNA. So whenever we talking about the 12 prophets and the 12 this and the 12 that, this is allegories, people, of the woman's mitochondria DNA, the ark. And that's what these men was doing. They was attacking the woman's mitochondria DNA. So whenever they burn women alive on crosses, all the way up into the 18th century, they was burning the memory of the maps out of her blood, y'all. You hear me? They was burning the memory. They was trying to burn the memory of these maps, because these maps, this symbolism is encoded and embedded in your DNA. So when you see it, it causes you to activate and it causes you to remember. So this is why men have burned women alive on crosses all the way up into the 18th century. If you ask me, The 18th century seemed like it was just 100 years ago. So it's kind of peculiar to be giving our soul, our remorse, our pity to some dude that died on the cross when it's countless historic records of women, real records of women. It ain't no historic records of this dude dying on no cross, Jesus, but it's literal historic records of millions and millions and millions of women being burnt on the cross alive. And they justified this shit with calling these heinous acts witch hunts, witch trials. And then they were so bold and callous that they put us in school and taught us about it to desensitize us to it. So whenever we heard about it from anywhere else, any other source or outlet, we'll already be like, oh yeah, they taught us that in school. We'll be desensitized to it. And we are desensitized because I see so many people that'll go get a cross of a dude. But okay, let's say this dude did die on the cross. Why you ain't got a cross of a woman? I mean, it's historic fact that she died on the cross. See what they do to us? Okay. The ark, the gateway, or the structure of the firmament itself, marking the passage between the veil and the womb realm. The ship, the vessel of awareness, it symbolizes the ability to travel the magnetic currents without physical dissolution. Gotta love it. Okay. Next slide. Yeah. Y'all ready for this? All right, here we go. The ark, the gateway, or the structure of the firmament. Passage between the veil and the womb realm. The ship, we just read that. The map, the blueprint of the cosmos mirrored in the DNA. It guides the seeker to the specific coordinates of the refuge. The grand return beyond the ice. Nigga, what? The cosmology culminates in the teaching of the grand return. Here, the ice wall of Antarctica is not a barren end, but a protective boundary. Beyond this veil lies the refuge of matriarchy, lands where the firmament touches the earth. This region represents the restoration of the great mother, where the earth and heaven merge, often, I'm sorry, offering eternal life in the original activated state. Woo! Woo! That was a lot of tongue twisting. Listen, that's deep because it show you why don't none of us know what's beyond Antarctica, people. It literally show you. It's literally telling you why don't none of us know what's beyond Antarctica. In Egyptian cosmology, the sky is not a void, but protect the magnetic arc of the firmament, but spans the earth. Ultimate boundary, okay, the geometry of the celestial arch, woman, while patriarchal structures often focus on the solar force. The arc represents the container, okay, the firmament as a shield against invaders. Y'all see this? The firmament as a shield against invaders. In the Egyptian worldview, the foreign invader is synonymous. Okay, I think we read that. Starry sustenance, interest of the live seeker, fully integrated. Okay, we gotta change the sequence. Let's change the sequence up. What we got here? Let's see what we got here real fast, people. Central to this teaching is the concept of the fire ladders, scalar waves, programs inherent in the human genome. Accessing the Kadaki symbols is said to ignite these dormant codes, transforming the biological body into a conductive instrument capable of holding higher frequencies of light. This perceptual shift allows the seeker to bypass linear time and view the cosmos as a unified living entity. And I got videos of this right here, but they don't let me play videos here. Like a little short video of what this mean. You see it, people. You see it. The map, the starfield blueprint. This is not a cartographic tool, but a holographic template. It corresponds to the fire letters within the DNA, the scalar wave blueprint that once read aligns the seeker's internal biology with the external geometry of the stars, dissolving the illusion of separation. Oh my God. DNA activation and the fire ladders. Central to this teaching is the concept of the fire ladders. How many matriarchs know about the fire ladders? I haven't heard the term fire ladders in a long time. So these are KENDAKES. I need y'all to get back familiar with them. And we about to close this out. I'm gonna read a couple more slides, and we're about to close this out. In the cosmology of the magnetic great mother, the Nubian word queens stand as the earthly embodiments of the magnetic firmament, people. These sovereigns known as historical, these sovereigns known historically for their fierce independence and matrilineal power are understood here as guardians of the matriarchal refuge, a sanctuary of divine right order, protected by the symbolism of the ark. This ark serves a dual function. It is the defense shield of the warrior and the celestial gateway to the infinite realm of the mother, asserting a cosmic structure that predates and protects against the imposition of patriarchal systems. So let's get back familiar with our great mothers, people, and let's get with love in the heart, and let's promote this message. I don't care what we got going on, we should find a way to advertise this message. I'm not saying advertise my page or me. If you know somebody else sharing this message, advertise that too. This is our spiritual liberation. And hopefully, just hopefully, if it's not people that know about this, then the people that do wake up to know about this, it can activate something in their DNA to where they can add something more. You know, that's what this is about. It's about us collectively coming together. I'm one person. I don't know all. I'm just trying to play my part. I'm just trying to do my due diligence. I love y'all. I'll be back. What's today? It's 3:30. So let's come back in here around 8, y'all. Let's come back around 8, 8:30. How's 8:30 for y'all? And we gonna do some more of this spiritual liberation, some more of this spiritual ascension. I'm here for y'all. Got y'all. This is nourishing, and we just scratching the surface. So if you want to learn about gender wars, if you want to learn how the firmament is matriarchal refuge, and if you want to learn how to build your home magnetic while here, you want to learn how to build a magnetic free energy home, I got you. I'm here to give all that away for the free. I'm not here to charge you. I'm not here for the praise. I'm not here for the likes. I'm here for the liberation, y'all. I'm here to get our earth back to black women. If you know a black woman, tag her. Let's wake her up. I love y'all in a minute. Matriarchs rising.